Boa noite, está na hora Semanário Econômico, é espaço de atualização econômica semanal aqui na STV Notícias. Em destaque neste programa o setor financeiro, mais concretamente o setor bancário. Vamos analisar a performance de instituições financeiras de importância não sistêmica a despeito da elevada concentração do setor bancário em Moçambique. Os bancos conhecidos como aqueles cuja importância não é considerada sistêmica também têm cartadas importantes a jogar, e é isso mesmo que tem feito, captando diferentes segmentos de mercado e ameaçando inclusive a ampliar a sua cota de mercado. No caso em apreço, vamos entabular uma conversa com o novo CEO do FNB, First National Bank Moçambique, esta subsidiária de um banco que na África do Sul é precisamente um dos maiores, se não um dos três maiores bancos sul-africanos. Em Moçambique ainda com uma participação lateral, mas com grandes sinais de querer alcançar lugares muito mais preponderantes. Este será o tema de fundo da presente edição do Semanário Econômico, a entrevista com Mbingo, ele que é presidente da Comissão Executiva do FNB em Moçambique. Antecipo já alguns momentos dessa interação que poderá acompanhar mais detalhadamente a seguir no nosso tema de fundo.
Africa has a development journey that's going to take a while. Fortunately today, we've got the talent, and we've got the technology, and we've got the opportunities, and maybe even better understanding of what's happening. These are markets that have people, and the people have needs. How do you come in as a bank to help capacitate and to help with creating flows and creating opportunities and creating work for people? There is an opportunity here, even with the infrastructure challenges and maybe with the work that we need to do around regulations and making a lot easier to do business.
Você está com o Semanário Econômico.
E vamos então ao tema de fundo da presente edição, e conforme anunciamos, estamos com Denis Lingo, ele que é presidente da Comissão Executiva do FNB Moçambique, no país em funções há pouco mais de 3 meses sensivelmente, portanto num contexto de imersão no nosso mercado, mas pela importância que esta instituição financeira tem para o ecossistema bancário moçambicano, torna-se pertinente perceber nesta altura qual é a visão estratégica do FNB para Moçambique e quais são as perspectivas do FNB em Moçambique. A entrevista será conduzida em inglês, naturalmente que iremos disponibilizar a legenda caso tenha alguma dificuldade de perceber um e outro aspecto no decurso da nossa entrevista. Então vamos avançar com Denis Ling. Denis, thank you for being in our show, and I wish you the best on your on your task in Mozambique. Let's start for asking you if are you feeling comfortable on the context of banking or financial system ecosystem in Mozambique?
No, thank you. It's Mozambique is an exciting country. I'm happy to be here and happy to be part of a growing African story. Africa has a development journey that's going to take a while. Fortunately today, we've got the talent, and we've got the technology, and we've got the opportunities, and maybe even better understanding of what's happening around the world and where we fit and how Africa can play a role. And when I look at Mozambique, I see it as part of that broader African story in terms of uplifting the economic well-being of our people, making the lives of our people better. So I don't think of banking in isolation, separate from the people and the economy. We are part of a much broader tapestry. And I'm excited about being here in a country that has a very rich heritage, a very rich history, that has set an example in terms of its development, to other African countries. So excited to be part of a growth story for Mozambique and for FNB to help in that development journey.
And what are your thoughts about the country, economy, the business context of Mozambique, in your role as FNB CEO?
When you think about it, we are part of the developing, economies around the world, and we use all sorts of descriptions to talk about developing countries versus more developing countries, etc. At the end of the day, these are markets that have people, and the people have needs. How do you come in as a bank to help capacitate and to help with creating flows and creating opportunities and creating wealth for people? So whilst Mozambique is a developing economy, it's also at a very good stage in defining its future because of the presence of, at least in our reading, very good talent pool, very rich natural resources. We actually see Mozambique as a very big opportunity in terms of the ports that it has as a gateway to the rest of the world, and being part of a global corridor, of flows. The fact that it has resources and minerals that everyone is looking to participate in going forward. So there are opportunities here, and that there's a reason why so many companies from around Africa and around the world are looking at Mozambique as a prospect, for their growth. We understand the challenges. There are challenges in many parts in Africa.
It's exactly what I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Next, what are the main challenges that you see in the context of displaying the potential business opportunities in Mozambique?
There are challenges, but I don't think they are so much different or dissimilar from what you see in other African countries. Infrastructure is one. The quality of our infrastructure, there's clearly something that needs to be done there, and you have seen the government make an effort to try and improve that, but it's going to be a long time before it gets to the right levels, just because of the sheer size of the country. We can pass judgment when we sit in other places, but this is a very big country. And it's very long as well. Yes. The infrastructure requirement for a country that size is going to be quite massive. The second thing is, you do think that there is an opportunity to perhaps make regulations and laws a lot easier to do business, but again, that's similar to a lot of countries on the continent. How do we make it easier for international investment to come here? There are some questions that have been raised around security and perhaps political stability. But from the way we see it, that's also part of a maturing democracy. You don't just become a mature democracy and a strong democracy going the easy way. There will be challenges. There will be difficult issues to talk about. So the fact that the country has faced all of these challenges and is still surviving, and it's still having plans for growth, and it still have an economy that in its own way functions well, is a very good sign. Recently, we've had an issue around foreign currency availability, and it's made the headlines. And in every meeting you go to, every customer you visit, everyone is looking for dollars, for euros. And we appreciate how the Banco de Mozambique is starting to respond to those requirements.
And talking especially in the context of the banking sector in Mozambique, what do you see as the main challenge as well as the main opportunities?
I think there are opportunities. The fact that you've got so many banks in the country says to you there's opportunities, and banks tend to follow the big customers, and we follow value chains where you see economic flows. You set up a banking operation, so there is an opportunity here, even with the infrastructure challenges and maybe with the work that we need to do around regulations and making a lot easier to do business. But here's what where banking fascinates me. We all we're very highly regulated, and because of the regulation, we tend to sell similar products. And the fight becomes, how do you package your product differently from someone else, and how do you price it better? So there is an opportunity.
Does it reduce the competitiveness of the banking sector in Mozambique? Do you see it in that way?
I think there is a lot of competition, but it's also a market, honestly, that is dominated by fewer banks who might have, 70 or so market share. So there is an opportunity for anyone to come into this market and build solutions around the customer. Yes, we can remain regulated, but there's an opportunity to actually think about, how do you position a bank in this market to solution for what customers need, using all of the modern capabilities that we have.
So what's your envision for FNB within the macroeconomic context in Mozambique, but as well in the specific context of the banking sector?
Yeah, I can start off by giving a little bit of background. When we consider the numbers we've just reported, performance figures for 2024, they would have shown that the year was very difficult. But we've also had relatively soft performance for the last 10 years, and there's a reason for that. We've invested a lot in technology platforms. We've invested a lot in trying to hire the right people for our future. And we're trying to build a business that's geared for the future, but we still need to pay our bills today. So that's the first thing that I think has influenced the results. The second one is, we went through a difficult period, I think during the social unrest between October and the end of the year, where operationally it did destabilize us, compared to the other banks. I don't know what their experience is, but it was a very difficult period for FNB. And a lot of the losses that we incurred actually were during that period. And we also raised a lot of, credit provisions, just putting aside enough money to make sure that our customers don't feel the pain, and were able to cushion some of the disruption that happened going into the new financial year. So 2024 especially was difficult, but I'm comfortable with it, knowing that the underlying business remains very strong. We've got a very strong shareholder in FirstRand, and we've got a very strong strategy going forward. I have met the central bank as well and a few other stakeholders, and I'm meeting a lot of customers to say we've got an exciting plan for FNB going into the future. There are things that we need, and I can talk about it just now to decide how that future is and how exciting it is going to be, and starting with just making sure that we've got the right people. We've got an understanding of the market. We need the right people to deliver. We've got the technology. We've got the ideas. We've got the curiosity and power to innovate. So putting all of that together to build a sustainable business plan is what my challenge is going to be going forward.
Going deeper on the FNB, how do you see FNB performing in the market?
Yeah. Look, we've been a small player, which is okay for a period. A lot of the focus has been in targeting specific customers.
Do you want to keep those limited footprint?
No, not definitely. Definitely, we don't want to. It's been okay for a time because we've been very selective around where we play in the consumer market, in the commercial market. and in corporate, but that was okay for a time. We're at a point now where you're looking at our market share and saying we can probably double or triple that because our services are different. We've got the potential to position the bank very differently, so we don't want to stay small. And the way that we want to do that is to think around what does the customer need in 2025 and going forward. It's very difficult, as I said earlier, when you're regulated and you almost commoditize your banking products and solutions and you sell more or less the same thing. It's the easier thing to do to sell what everyone sells and just play around with price. The much more difficult journey is thinking around what do customers need and how do I build solutions that are specific to what customers require. And that is harder and it takes a long time. So what we want to solve for specifically is how do we build customer experience for a business that is very different from what anyone else offers. How do we leverage technology to solve for distribution? You asked about branches. Do you want to build more branches? Not necessarily. But how do we use technology to distribute our services widely throughout the country and we create access opportunities? How do we use technology to increase financial inclusion? I'm especially excited when you look at the demographics. A lot of our people in Mozambique are in informal business. People are trying to make a living for themselves.
We are still very informal economy.
Very informal economy, and that's okay. So I don't think it's wise then to build a strategy that is focusing on formal employment when the majority of the people are also in informal employment. How do you build a platform that covers both your formal people in formal employment and also in informal employment? A majority of those in informal employment, guess what, are women. How do you then build solutions that talk to what they need? And the majority of those, again, are young people between 18 and 35. So how do you then create products that talk to those young people? And the fourth thing that has drawn our curiosity, you've got a lot of Mozambicans who live outside of Mozambique or who have business interests outside of Mozambique. How do you make it easier for them to bring money home to support their families here? So there is an opportunity for us to grow, but by building a business around the customer and making sure that our service is better than what anyone else can offer.
So to better understand the future, let's take a look now back at the FNB journey since entering in the Mozambican market. What do you consider in this context to be the major milestone or strategic lessons achieved by FNB in Mozambique?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think a lot of what has happened since we came here has been about building a network and building presence in the market. So we've got enough branches. We are considering maybe one or two more, but we've got about 15 branches now. You've seen our presence at the airport. We have a lot of point of sale devices. We've been very strong in providing a safe online banking platform. We've recently, I think in the last couple of years, the team has done an exciting job building an FNB app. One of the things that has been quite obvious is every second Mozambican has a cell phone. In fact, more than that figure has a cell phone, and there's a growing presence of smartphones. So we have built the FNB app, banking app, to allow customers to experience banking in a much more safer and way and in the comfort of their homes. So that is where a lot of the energy has gone in. We have tried to participate in certain segments, but that's still a growing journey. And that's part of what we want to change then going forward, to say how do we anchor ourselves in the lives of the consumer in Mozambique, in the lives of the small and medium-sized business, and in the lives of the large corporates. And there are ideas that we have that we want to take to the market over the next few months and few years.
How do you shape the new phase of growth of FNB in Mozambique?
How do we shape the new phase of growth?
Yeah.
There are certain foundations you have to have. In order to grow a banking operation, one, you have to have capital, which we think we've got, and we're actually working on increasing the capital that we have to support the business. The second thing is we are going to accelerate this investment in technology. We want customers to see us as a bank that helps and not frustrates. If you think about it, customers, I've said, are carrying cell phones, but they walk into a bank and they fill a lot of manual forms. There's a lot of paperwork that we're pushing around. When they ask for services, we produce a lot of paper and we ask people to sign documents. How do we simplify that internally, and how do we simplify it for the customer? I'm especially excited about something else, though. Mozambique has done a very good investment in young people. I'm looking at the guys that we're interviewing for opportunities within Mozambique. There's an awareness around data and using data. There's an awareness of, artificial intelligence. There's an awareness around just computing technology, engineering, etc. How do we take those skills and bring them into the banking environment to solve for the problems that we're looking at? I look into our future for the next 10, 20 years. A lot of it will be based on how we utilize that talent coming out of the market to become a lot closer to our customers.
And what's your vision for FNB Mozambique from the next 5 years or so?
I'd like to see, with the support of the board, a bank that is accessible, that has presence throughout the country, that uses technology to make banking a lot easier. I'd also like to see our employees being more sensitive to customer needs and to put the customer first. Sometimes when you go through, what we've gone through, you become a lot more inward looking. I'd love for us to be seen as a reliable partner to customers, a solutions provider. I'd like customers to be excited about the brand. I don't want customers to think hard when they have to deal with FNB. They should be excited at the possibility of interfacing with FNB, of doing business with FNB. And when I say customers, by the way, I'm talking customers, your big companies, your medium-sized companies, and also individuals. And make sure that the brand is a positive feed into this market. And we also want to be seen by Mozambique as a trusted partner in building the economy.
Can we expect in this period FNB introducing new products that can foster the economic growth in Mozambique?
Absolutely. We've got very good products already. And a lot of the products that have been built over the past years, customers don't know about because in my view, we've been building too much. There's just too much to take out. So we want to go back and say, what have we built that customers do not know about, and we can take it out to market. But there's also an opportunity for us to build new solutions. I don't want to list some of those today. When we have our next interview in Portuguese, then I'll take you through that. But there's definitely a lot more that we want to build, and this is going to cover lending products. How do we create lending products that customers will see as options to what the market offers? So we are looking at lending. We're also looking at transactional products. We're also looking at pricing. How do we make sure that our products are priced in a manner that respects the realities of the customer? So yes, we are going to get new products, but they are also going to be priced well. And we are also looking, perhaps one other thing to mention is, we don't think it is wise for us to grow on our own. How do we establish strategic partnerships in the market with other service providers so that when a customer experiences FNB, he also gets access to other possibilities, other products that are sold by others. So how do we do that within regulation, within the laws of the country? So yes, we will build new products.
All right. Are there specific initiatives that FNB is intended to develop to promote, for instance, to promote the financial solution for the green sector?
No, certainly. Maybe even before I get to the green sector, when you look at what Mozambique has achieved around agriculture, specifically to start there, there's a lot of potential. We as FNB understand agriculture. We've built this business in other countries around just supporting sustainable agriculture. And with what is happening with climate change, we've got the understanding, we've got the relationships, we've got the know-how of supporting customers through this evolution, of our planet and the climate. So there is also going to be a lot more focus on that. And then when it comes to the green economy, that has to be in line with government initiatives and what the state and other entities in the economy are looking to support. So we are, for now, just exploring in order to understand what opportunities are there, but specifically was zooming in on how do we help to build a sustainable agric economy, because it's such a big component of the Mozambican economy. And then the other opportunities, I think we need to just better understand of where the government is and what investment we can make to partner there.
Is FNB ready to be a partner for promoting a sustainable finance for the green energy, for instance?
No, absolutely. So if you consider who we are in our DNA, a lot of our philosophy for business is built around shared prosperity. It's not about profits. It's about shared prosperity. If we're going to plant or put capital in an economy, we have to make sure that, yes, we get a return for our shareholders, but we create a lot of value for our employees, we create a lot of value for our customers, and we create a lot of value for the community. So we don't have a choice. We have to be a partner for sustainable investment. I think where we are right now is trying to answer the question, what does it mean for Mozambique relative to Mozambique's development status at this point? So we don't have a choice. We, as part of our shared prosperity identity, we want to be a very strong, sustainable development partner.
You cited several times during these interviews the role of the technology on the strategy of FNB Mozambique. Let's talk now a little bit more about that. What the role will digital transformation play in FNB Mozambique growth strategy?
It's everything. If you think about the fact that we have a country of 33, 34 million people, and maybe 2/3 of that are still in non-urban areas. I don't know what the exact number is, but somewhere around 64% will be in the rural areas, and the balance is in urban areas. The traditional thinking is that you should have a branch everywhere, but that's not sustainable. How many people can a branch hold at a time? A branch can have, depending on the size, tens of people, maybe 50, 100 at the most. So that limits your ability to service people the way they need to be serviced. And you are not going to reach everyone by just building branches. So our thinking is there is an opportunity here for technology to, one, reach as many people, but also at an affordable price point. If you can do that, then you can bring in people who previously were not within banking. And if you consider that, your mobile technology companies have done that. They are providing solutions, they're providing access without building branches everywhere. But they've been able to reach out to people in remote parts of Mozambique. How do you then, as a bank, learn from that and try and use it for financial services? The second opportunity that we see is, how do we make it easy for you as a customer to provide us with information without having to walk into the branch? or to ask for things without having to walk into the branch and queuing for 2 hours, because it's 2 hours of your life. It's not 2 hours of your day, it's 2 hours of your life. So how do we then solution for that? The third area we want to introduce technology is managing your complaints. When you don't understand, when your application doesn't work, when you want to suspend your card or to cancel your card, how do we do it in a manner that has 24-hour availability and there's technology sitting behind that? So how do we use artificial intelligence? How do we use a lot of these capabilities to answer normal questions that customers have? But there's also a lot that us in banking need to think about in just simplifying our internal operations through using technology. We should not in 2025 be having operations that are still very manual. And I know people worry about if you then invest in a lot of technology internally, then you're going to threaten jobs. No. Using technology internally is going to make work a lot more fun, especially for this the young talent coming in. But it also allows us time and scope to focus more on the customer as opposed to moving pieces of paper, in different departments. So there's a massive opportunity there for us to rethink our processes, to consider where we can use robotics for high volume repetitive tasks, to consider where we can use data in a much more powerful sense to inform customer decisioning and business decisions.
Are you planning to bring on board partnership with Mozambique and FinTech, for instance?
Oh, definitely. I'm actually excited. I have asked the team to go out and look for local guys who want to solution for these things. We can always go internationally, but people on this continent are able to do things that are customized for this market and do it at a better price. And it's also easier to fix and adapt, as time goes by. So we are looking for Mozambican fintechs that might have ideas. And over the next year or two, we would like to incorporate some of them into our journey.
Digital solution or technologies goes along with security and personalization. How do you think, or what are the strategy of NB handle with these two issues that should go always along?
So there's an assumption that we make as customers that dealing with a person is safer sometimes, but sometimes, security risks are everywhere. The difference that technology has is that you then are able to have your products accessed by a lot more people, at the same time. So we are very sensitive to that. So in building the technology capabilities that we're working on, we are also we have to build a cybersecurity capacity and a digital security capability that matches that, so that we don't have gaps. We have not had big problems in the past, and I think there are always challenges. We test our systems on a daily basis, for possible risks. We are aware of the risk, and in increasing the technological capabilities for FNB, it will be necessary to make sure that our security is just as strong. So we're quite aware of that.
As closing remarks, how do you, and talking especially to your customers and partners, how do you define the present moment of FNB Mozambique?
It's exciting times. There are two ways you can see the challenging year that we've had. One, you can say it's been difficult, it's been hard, it's going to take a very long time to go back. But I see it differently. We've been relatively successful, but in a small way, historically. When you go through the year that we've had in 2024 and the issues that the economy has had, which have been difficult for a lot of people, it allows us to think differently and to have a fresh start. And it gives us space to build a different kind of bank going forward. sometimes we get tied to our past history and our past successes. And I've said to the team, pack that, put that all aside, and really think hard around how do you then position the bank, especially around the customer, as I've said. So if I've emphasized anything today, it's the focus and obsession around customers. It's using technology to build a bigger reach, but also creating a different type of employee. An employee who understands that you as a customer come first, an employee who's excited about waking up every day and going to work. And then for building the right partnerships in the market to make sure that whatever it is that we do is sustainable. We've got the mindset, we've got the products, we've got the energy. We are building the partnerships, we are building the products. So I'm not uncomfortable around where we are headed, and I can assure customers that they will be excited that the FNB they are going to see.
What they can expect in the coming year?
In the coming year, we want to improve our banking app specifically. We are talking to regulators about what more services we can offer within that. We want to refresh some of our branches a little bit. Some of them are looking quite old. So there's a lot that's being spent to make sure that the branch spaces are actually quite good. We want to introduce a few more products, especially in lending, that make it easier to access loans. But we are also thinking about a lot of payments-related solutions. How do we make it easier for customers to receive money from outside the country? How to make it easier for customers to, send money within Mozambique. So it will be an exciting year. We are going to be introducing quite a few products over the next 18 to 24 months.
I thank you very much for this conversation, and I hope to talk with you anytime soon in the coming years.
No, excited. Nice meeting you, and thank you for the conversation.
E foi assim que fizemos este tema de fundo com o CEO do FNB Moçambique. Foi com ele que estivemos a passar em revista a trajetória do banco, mas acima de tudo o pensamento estratégico e a visão estratégica existente nesta instituição financeira. Se o FNB é um banco de importância sistêmica, está entre os 3 primeiros na África do Sul, por exemplo. Qual é a perspectiva existente relativamente ao mercado moçambicano, a presença em Moçambique com a marca FNB Moçambique? Estes foram alguns dos aspectos que afloramos nesta entrevista. Ficamos por aqui, uma breve pausa agora. Retornaremos logo de seguida.